Does gender affect women's motivations for career success? Most women would give a resounding no in response to this question. We like to think of ourselves as free from such constrictions, liberated from the prescribed gender roles and inequalities experienced by our mothers and grandmothers. But there is no escaping the fact that there are proportionately more women than men in certain job roles. For example, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that in 2008, only 9% of female professionals were employed in the high-paying computer and engineering fields, compared with 45% of male professionals. 68% of female professionals worked in education and healthcare occupations, where the pay is generally lower, compared with 29% of male professionals. Construction, production, and transportation occupations employed very few women, whereas administrative support roles saw a much higher concentration of women. And the broad category of professional and related occupations had a much higher concentration of women, but there were relatively few women in the higher paying job roles within this category. Clearly, there is a gender issue here, but why? Do women's career choices create the salary gap? In fact, the different career paths taken by men and women are partly responsible for the salary gap that places women's salaries at just 80% of men's. But that's not the full story. Research has shown that women are consistently paid less than men working similar hours in comparable job roles. Currently, 57% of college students are women, and females consistently perform better than males in education. So much so that policymakers in the United States and Europe are looking at ways to improve educational participation and outcomes for men and boys. So, lower educational attainment is clearly not to blame for the salary gap. Neither is lack of opportunity. With the exception of certain military jobs, women are no longer barred from most occupations. Then what creates the salary gap? It's easy to blame society, but let's not forget that half of our society is made up of women. Does this mean that women are complicit in allowing workplace inequalities to persist? A myriad of factors, conscious and unconscious, influence the choices we make, and it isn't necessary to be overtly sexist in order to make a choice or judgment that reinforces the glass ceiling. Some jobs have traditionally been done by women, so women and the influences that guide them are more likely to steer toward traditionally female jobs. Women may also be less motivated by the pressure to earn higher salaries, making them more likely to base their career choices on other considerations that inadvertently lead to lower earnings. But surely we are savvy enough to recognize these forces and liberated enough to counter them, aren't we? Do different concepts of success create the salary gap? Our culture still measures men's success in terms of their material wealth and possessions, but women have not traditionally been judged by the same standards and therefore do not aspire to meet them, at least not to the same extent as men. Some studies suggest that women do not equate their worth to a dollar value as easily as men do. Women have a different sense of personal worth, and this motivates them differently in the workplace. Traditional belief is that men are motivated by the success that brings money and accolades. Meanwhile, women are still often judged a success or failure based on their mothering abilities and whether or not they even choose to have children. It can be argued that men's career choices are every bit as prescribed as women's, albeit with better financial outcomes. When we evaluate women's status in the workplace and conclude that women are worse off because they earn less money, are we simply subscribing to masculine values? Maybe, but the stark fact that women are paid less than men for doing the same job tells us that lingering sexism could still be at the heart of the issue.
Visit Worldwide Learn for all of your education resource needs.